Welcome to Realtor Talk with Steph and Kel.
Hey guys,
Hi, I'm Stefanie Campbell.
and I'm Kelly Dugan.
Whether you're buying, selling, or just curious on the ins and outs of the real estate world, you've come to the right place.
What are we going to talk about on this podcast?
Everything, duh.
You name it, we cover it.
Tune in weekly as we bring you insightful conversations with industry experts, success stories, horror stories, and definitely some laughs along the way.
Welcome, everyone.
Hi. This is episode 16, which is actually my lucky number.
Mine too. Did we not know that? My
Wait,
birthday's
why?
March 16th.
Mine's
that was-
January 16th.
Well,
That's
we
fine.
knew each other's birthdays, but that's funny that, that was my
What?
softball number.
Mine too. And that's yeah. Probably in softball too, but I'm like going back to like soccer and
Like
like
my
everything.
screen
I always
name?
pick 16.
My screen name was always 16, like
Yes.
the AIM.
Yes.
That's actually my sweet 16 too, March 16th, and then I was my sweet 16.
Oh my god, this is
Wow.
literally like whatever.
That it actually is funny that this is why I believe in signs, because so Corey, my fiance, was born on January 17th. I was born on March 16th, and then Stephanie was born on January 16th. And what's Niall's birthday?
March 13th.
Yeah, so like we're both Pisces and Capricorns.
Isn't that funny?
That is funny.
We must be attracted to the same types of people.
But it's an opposite thing. Like you're the Corey and I'm the Niall.
Which makes total sense.
Opposites attract, so I mean you get along.
We don't have a lot of time, so let's get
Okay,
to
yeah, we're
it.
gonna talk about Stephanie wanted to talk about fear.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, we were talking about
Doom.
topics, and I was like, you know what? Fear is a very prominent mental
Feeling.
state
Yeah.
and feeling when you're going through the real estate process. And I feel like most people they take their feeling of fear and think that it should mean something.
Yes.
And I really don't think that it necessarily should. And I just want to talk about the phases throughout the process where you think it's normal to be fearful, and what types of feelings of fear should you take into consideration versus ones that you can't, like that.
Or like things that sometimes we see a lot of people be fearful of that we know they shouldn't be. You know, that's a good thing to touch on too.
Yes.
And, sometimes it's crazy how many times like a client will bring something newish to my attention that they're stressing about that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not, like, no, you're fine.
don't
That
worry
kind
about
of
that.
thing. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So what sparked
also,
this topic for you?
also like sitting in this side of you, I feel like I should be the question master. Like I want to ask you, so Kelly.
Go for it. I'm in. I love being asked questions.
So Kelly, what is the most common time that you see your clients being fearful and think maybe that they shouldn't?
I guess when they shouldn't, just any bit of, if anything comes up in the inspection. I mean, the way I see it is, okay, what are you scared of? Are you scared of how much you love this house and now you feel like you don't want to buy it anymore? Or are you scared that, these little GFCI outlets or anything like that is going to be super detrimental? So I just feel like fear in that sense is normal. Like when you're nervous for the inspection, like you can be nervous that it's going to go bad because you love the house so much, you want nothing to ruin that. Or it could be, fearful that, I don't really know in that sense, but it's one of those things that everybody, if you're not scared, if you don't have any fear, that's not normal. Everything's fixable. And the way I see it is like, okay, if you're scared of the inspection, well, you're gonna have two options at the end of it. You're gonna either say, all right, I'm not gonna buy this house, I'm gonna walk away, and then boom, your fear is gone because you're not buying that house anymore. Or there's nothing going to be wrong during inspection, and don't be fearful until you see that report.
Yeah, I agree.
Or jumping the milestones. There's always like those potential fears, which I can't say enough times to clients, like, let's cross that bridge when we come to it. It's so situational. Like, we can sit. I mean, how long can we sit and talk about what if scenarios
You know
with
what's really funny is, remember how you had that scenario about the appraisal gap? About crossing that bridge before we got there? Literally, because of our whole conversation about it, I had clients recently that were saying, well, should we agree on before, like what we would cover for the appraisal before we get there, or what scenarios would happen? I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because there is endless possibilities of what could happen because what if the appraisal comes in $50,000 lower? What if it comes in $2,000 lower? What if, like, you can't, there's no way to
plan it, and all we can do is set the foundation and let you know that, hey, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. And yeah, you can be fearful. Another thing, back to your original question about things that people are fearful for, which we've reiterated a million times, is fearful of losing their earnest money. That's a huge thing. But again, you get that back.
Unwarranted. I think totally unwarranted. We should make a list of unwarranted fears.
And then appraisal too. It's like and this goes to everything in life, is like there is no sense in sweating and fearing and being worried about something that's out of your control. If the appraisal's happening in 10 days, you're gonna put that stress on yourself for just fearing that the entire time for the next 10 days. That's like a stamp I want to put, honestly, on like my forehead when I talk to clients for the first time, is that everything is situational, and you're going to know all of the steps that you're going to come across during the process, but knowing all of the solutions and answers and things that happen in those steps are unknown until we get them. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
What fears for you? What made you, I guess I'm curious, what made you think of this topic?
Here she goes again. I'm trying to put this on me. Just kidding.
You were all about the FEAR topic today.
You know what? I think maybe, like Kelly often makes fun of me, maybe recently my own fear prohibited me from making a decision that perhaps I should have made.
And that's fear of a bad investment. That's a huge one.
Fear of bad investment. That's huge.
How do you quiet that fear?
You don't. No, I'm just kidding.
You really, I mean.
So, I mean, there's a lot of, let's talk about from beginning to end all the times that you're going to, that fear is going to cross your mind and what ones we should worry about and what ones we shouldn't. One fear that people often get at the very beginning is writing a contract.
Yes.
That is their biggest, like they are so scared to write the contract, and we know how often contracts fall apart and how little that initial contract actually means. So we're like, just write the contract. No big deal, you know?
Totally. That's always during my buyers meetings too. I'm like, everything is subject to attorney review. So that 13-page contract that looks super overwhelming that you're signing and you're just clicking and all that, anything can be changed through the attorneys at that point. Like I don't want to say it's like super, super loosey-goosey, but it kind of is.
It is super loosey-goosey.
You don't want to have to come through and make a bunch of changes to it, but you can.
Well, and it sucks for oftentimes sellers get the short end of the stick because these buyers like change their mind all the time willy-nilly. I know you've experienced a lot of
as is. Well, they enticed me with their as is, and now they're asking me for a home warranty. Like, what the heck? And like they put as is on the contract. That doesn't mean that you can't. That's just like that's just like a perfect example right there.
It speaks to what you intend to do. So, okay, writing the contract is a big fear one. Deciding on the property, even if we backed it up a little bit, I think fear of making a bad investment, fear of purchasing at the wrong time.
Fear of, this one is one that's like, it's such a human nature one, but drives me nuts when I hear it. How do I know that nothing else is going to come on the market that I love?
Oh, yeah. Fear of something else coming up that you might like better.
Yes. That one is like...
I mean, I don't know. What did you think when you married your husband? Were you like, maybe a better guy is going to come along? You know, you can change your mind. You can get divorced. It's no big deal. No, I'm just kidding.
No, 100%, because that is something, and they do look at us for that. Like, okay, should I? And it's like...
I always say, and again, like I'm preaching to the choir, I really need to look in the mirror and say this to myself, but you cannot have analysis paralysis. You cannot have analysis
in this market.
Paralysis. In any market, because you will just sit on the sidelines forever. Yeah. If the tide ever does turn, I've seen people sit on the sidelines thinking, well, maybe a better deal's gonna come along, you know. So it's
and then you're torturing yourself. I mean, that is to me equivalent to like if that's your constant mindset, you're probably the same person who is toggling the mortgage calculator to say like 2.5% just to see what it would have been like when rates were that low.
Yeah, don't do that.
When clients say that, they're like, you want to know what that payment would have been at 2.5? I'm like, no, because it's irrelevant.
And there is a phrase that I always like to remind people, but anywhere you end up buying, and again, this isn't always true, but you have to remember that you can sell. Like people think that they're like signing in blood.
Their life
they have
away.
To like bury themselves in this house. You can sell the house. You don't have to be married to it forever. But, you know, I just think that
Another fear is like fearing you're not going to get it. Multiple offer situations. That's a big one. I mean, you have clients that are just shaking in their boots for 48 hours hearing that. That's another fear. Fear of inspection. I'm just trying to go through the process.
Well, and I was going to say is that people have to remember that for the most part, the reason that you love your home so much is because it's your home.
And you made it your home.
You are emotionally attached to it. You could have had your family there. A lot of firsts, like all these memories. Like it becomes your safety, cozy, safe space. And, you know, even if you had that analysis paralysis or all that fear at the beginning, 5 years, 2 years down the road, what have you, like that is going to be your most favorite place. There is no perfect place that exists. So I think that is, you have to remind yourself of that. This place will eventually become a home because that's where you live, but also no perfect place exists. And
yeah, you have to focus on what's important and what checks your most important boxes and the things you can't change. That's my number one saying these days with this low inventory is right now you need to look at the things that you can't change.
And I hate when people, I don't know why I hate this so much, but like, oh, if it wasn't meant to be, it won't be. I hate when clients say that. I don't know why.
It's their scapegoat.
I think just something, I'm too practical. Like the Capricorn in me, I'm like, no, it's that way because you made it that way. Like, I'm like, you have a choice and you have to deal with it. And like, even that place I didn't buy recently, like, I'm like, now I'm dealing with a choice. My fear got the best of me and now I'm dealing with my choice.
Although I will say that fear was good, and I think you made the right choice, and I think you'll realize that one day.
I'm glad somebody can say that to me because I am like a.
Stephanie will like live in a pool of regret.
I will. I'll be like, darn, I should have done X, Y, and Z. Okay, whatever.
But yeah, and it's whatever's meant to be, and I agree with that too. But I will say that there's some times where like a crazy thing happens, where it's like they were in love with this house, everything went good, and then something, for whatever reason, they didn't get it, and then the house that we did end up closing on, we're all like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. Like this.
I know that
those
feels
things work.
Good.
But when it comes to like, okay, so for instance, I had a client who I worked with for over a year. She never ended up buying, but she was contingent, and it was the fear of being homeless in that sense. Which again, we've went over this a million times. There's so many.
So basically, we need to just like. At showings bring Xanax with us or something for our clients.
I know.
There is so much fear involved in real estate. Oh, keep going. I keep going.
But no, my point is that so she had some terms that weren't very favorable in a multiple offers or crazy market. She was contingent on her house selling, not even closing, and she didn't really want to list until she found something. And and I should say her and her husband, she just called all the shots. But they kept on submitting offers that were not only purchase price weak, but also just they were contingent, and it was a multiple offers. And every time we lost, I guess it wasn't just meant to be. And I'm like, that was what made me want to beat my head off the wall. Because I'm like, no, you guys are offering terrible offers. That's why it's resulting in not meant to be. Like you guys are literally offering 20 grand below list the first day it's on the market, contingent on sale. It's not meant to be because your offer sucks. You did that. Did you just want to do that to solidify it? I don't know. So that, just getting in people's brains sometimes. But yeah, there is a lot of fear. And I think it is 110% normal to feel fear during this transaction. It's a huge transaction.
And I always tell people when they are shopping, like you might be if you are going to spend $500,000, $1 million, $5 million, whatever your budget is, it would be wild for you to not be scared.
Right.
You're just going to you're going to go buy your biggest investment that you will own in your lifetime. And you're just going to be like, yeah,
right.
No big deal. You're going to be scared. Prepare yourself mentally that you're going to be scared. And I always tell people a tall sign that you perhaps should offer on the property is if you're touring it and you put yourself in the shoes and you think, okay, how will I feel if somebody else gets this house? Do I want to reserve it for myself before somebody else does? If you get that fear of literally somebody else buying it, then that's probably a good sign that you should go ahead and submit the offer. Okay, so let's go back to all the different fear spots. So you have all these doubt in your mind, all this doubt in your mind before you write the contract. Then you get scared to write the contract. Then becomes the real doom and gloom phase, and that's the inspection, because the inspection is like the most sad time.
What was that noise?
My phone, I think,
I think someone just came on the phone. No, it's fine.
No, I just hung up from my watch.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Sorry, guys. We'll see if there's a little blip in the somebody called me. But there is the inspection is like the saddest time that you have during the whole buying phase, I feel like, because even when I've bought personal residences or investments or what have you, that inspection, I'm like, oh my God, like you get all this bad news about the house. The inspector's not there to point out all the awesome qualities there to you. They're literally there to tell you all the problems.
And they're always going to find something. That's their job, whether they're big or small or anything, but it's basically like you're getting a report card of all the problems with this house that you're spending, a ton of money on.
They're calling me again. So funny. Okay.
I don't think it's stopping.
No, I know, but I declined it for my watch, thankfully.
Okay.
Anyway, real life, you guys.
Yeah, guys,
we get calls all day.
Real life. So what would be your piece of advice? How are the best ways, even though this fear is inevitable, how's the best way to mitigate it?
I think the best thing that we can do as realtors, for realtors that are listening, is mentally prepare people. Mm-hmm. Like, this is not an easy road. This isn't all rainbows and sunshines. And you're not supposed to people think it's going to be like wedding dress shopping where you're going to go try on a dress and be like, this is the one. Or you're going to walk through the door and say, this is the one. I knew it was the one. I'm too analytical to have that kind of feeling.
I don't believe that's a thing either.
I am like, I walk in a house and I have to make the logical, okay, that's why it's really important to make a checklist. Mm-hmm. And I think a good goal for people to have in your mind is, does this house check 85% of what we want? That is an awesome goal to have in your mind. Mentally prepare yourself that the inspection is a depressing day and you're going to learn everything that's wrong with it. Everything is fixable with dollars. It will be okay. No home is perfect. So I really think you can't have, like, for the takeaways, you cannot have analysis paralysis. No. You at some point have to make a decision. This house will eventually be your home and it will be okay and you'll love it.
Don't also negatively impact yourself in the present, worrying about what might be coming on in the future. Yes. I don't know why. I think it's been 2 different buyers that I've been out with a lot lately, and we're getting close. And it's always like, oh, now that spring's heating up, all this new inventory is coming up, and it's like, I get it, but it's again that inventory is only going to last a day or two also. So it's like, just you're not going to be able to secure anything if you're constantly in that mindset. Yeah.
So I think those are really the big takeaways, that it's okay to be scared and it's all going to be okay.
What if they're like, what if my basement floods after closing? That's a fear that's going to maybe be like a homeowner forever fear. Like, that's just being a homeowner. Those are fears that really we can't change for you. All right. But have a good realtor that understands the process, because then they can at least help you and assure you when you go all cuckoo,
All right. Well, I got to go back to my day job.
Yeah, you do. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Tune in weekly for new episodes.
Follow the link in the show notes to answer our survey and have your topics talked about on Realtor Talk with Steph and Kel.
Thanks for listening. Until next time.
Bye.
Ciao.